Hey everyone, welcome to the stream. I'm doing this on Twitch. I'm also going to record it over to YouTube. And if anybody wants to join in the chat and ask any questions, I'll be happy to look at some coins for you. We're just going to take a look real quick at Market Cipher. Had some people request that I show what it looks like on my end, how I find entries, exits, that sort of thing. It's a really powerful tool. And I've found that the money that I've put into it has been well worth it. Gives me more confidence, and it's really my main tool that I use as far as indicators go. So if you would hit the like and subscribe if you're on YouTube, hit the follow button if you're on Twitch, and we'll get started here. So typically what I do when I'm looking at a coin for an entry is I look at this Market Cipher B here on the bottom. It's a lot better, in my opinion, than anything else that comes with the package. And I will post the affiliate link that I have if any of you decide that you want to take it for a spin and purchase it. I'll put that in the description below after the video is completed and I put it on YouTube. And then I'll also post it for people here in Twitch chat. Let me go ahead and do that real quick. Okay, so here on the, let's start with the 4 hour. And I'm going to take off this Market Cipher A for now because it's not that important. Okay, so this is just a regular chart of DGB. And here we have Market Cipher B on the bottom. There's a couple different parts of Market Cipher. So you've got Market Cipher B, which kind of includes all of your RSI information, things like VWAP, which is volume weighted average price, I believe how it goes. And then it also shows you your money flow right here. So we've talked about that before in a previous video, where if it's in the red, then that means money is coming out of the coin. If it's in the green, like back here, then money's coming in. And what you're looking for on this, you can probably see, if we zoom out here, you can probably see here that there's kind of a flow to it. It'll come up and then it'll flow back down and come back up. So here's what we're expecting right now with DGB is it's pretty close to its bottom. It's got to be. And the way that you know is, I know this looks really confusing right now, but let me show you. Here, I'm going to bring up RSI real quick. This will make it look a lot more noticeable. So see right here how this right here looks identical to this. So now you know when you look at this alone that it's just plotting the RSI. That's what these blue areas are here. So it goes up, up, and then it comes down. That's up, up, and down, same thing. So just consider that blue area, all of this in here as your RSI. And it has a little tutorial type thing when you purchase Market Cipher. I mean, you'll be able to understand it real easy once you get into it. It does take a little bit of practice to get used to it and to feel like you're comfortable enough to use it to start placing your entries. But you can just start out with a little bit of money, you know, $100 or even 1,000, whatever your threshold is, and just test it out and see if you like the results that you're getting from it first before you dive in deeper. Okay, so what we're looking for, the most important thing we're looking for, especially when we feel like it might be at a bottom, is all of these green dots right here. And what these green dots are is a buy signal. And then the other thing that you're looking for is what he calls a trigger wave. The person that made Market Cipher, by the way, It's that guy CryptoFace. He's on YouTube. He's always streaming about how he's leveraged with like $1 million, and he keeps breaking records using Market Cipher to place his trades. So this is kind of his baby, Market Cipher. And if you want to, let's see, here's the website right here. Just so you know what I'm talking about. So it's got bull and bear indicators, buy, sell, warning indicators, and support resistance. There's a lot of levels to it, but I like using this one right here the most, this Market Cipher B. It's an all-in-one oscillator. Let's see what it says here. All-in-one oscillator allowing for more quality indications. 5 algorithms. And then it talks about the green dot and everything here. So I'll definitely post that link for you to where you can kind of help me out if you decide to pay for it. It'll help me out a little bit. He gives the affiliates the like 15% of the purchase price, something like that. So what we're looking for, you can see that your RSI, these lines here, are way down near the bottom. You know, they're not up here, so we're not bullish right now, of course. So anytime you're down here like this is always a good buying opportunity when it's hugging this 0 line right in here. And so that's when we would start looking for our entry. And then in that case, you want to go down to a 1 hour. So here's our 1 hour, here's our 4 hour on the left. So you start out with the 4 hour to kind of find one of these green dots on a longer time frame, and then you go to the shorter time frame. Let me take some of this off. Then you go to the shorter time frame to find your actual entry, and this is real good right here. How, let me draw a little trend line here, how this is going up like that. And so you got all these little trigger waves that are happening. You had this one way back here. That was your anchor wave. They call this an anchor wave, where it's way down here at the bottom. You can almost think about if it's an anchor that you threw into the sea. It went all the way to the bottom level. And now you're just looking for it to keep climbing up. And so anywhere in here would have been a good purchase. I mean, like, what you're really looking for is when this red area starts going green. And so this one right here would have been a good buy, because you're about, what he always says, by the way, let me show you even closer. When he's doing his little training, and he doesn't really do much training, that's why most people have to do videos like this, so that it's a little bit more clear what he's talking about in layman's terms. So you've got this whole red area here, and what he suggests or recommends when he gets in is about 3/4 into this red area. So if you see it coming up and then it starts to curl back down to where you got money coming back into the coin, then you want to try to find a green dot that is about 3/4 out of the red. So we'll just cut this up into quarters. Here's 1/4, here's 2/4, here's 3. I don't know why those disappeared, but anyway, you get the idea. If this is a full, if you're imagining this being a pizza and you're cutting it into 4 slices, well, this would be the 4th piece way back here. And so right there is your entry at that green dot. And we can see it just keeps tapering off. It goes over the 0 line, it turns green. And then that's about when you start to see all this RSI and everything moving up. And then right here, it's past the RSI middle line, which means once it goes above this, then it's very bullish. And so if you got in there, yeah, it went up a little bit, came down a little bit, that's okay. You're not going to get it exact, but you can see that you got a really good entry because not long after that it took off, and I think it's going to continue pushing up. It's just working through some of this resistance right here. You can see all of this right here, a couple of these here, all the times that it was hitting this line. So it's just working through that, and once it breaks through, it's gone. I mean, the next target might be maybe right here at 06. But you can see there's a big gap there. Let me bring this out a little bit more. If you do some lines here, and by the way, we're looking at DGB Bitcoin. This isn't DGB dollar or Tether, but you can still look at this because this is a good indication of support resistance lines. And we talked about this in the last video, but just to go over it real quick, here's kind of your resist lines, and then once you pass these two, you can see we've got a lot of room to the upside right there. I mean, the next one you're running into is maybe here, but you want to see these big gaps like that, where there's a lot of room to the upside, and you get a lot more out of your entry this way. And I know there's one whale group somebody was talking about that I think they are targeting about right there at that 140. So what would that be? If you were to take a long position here, 140. It's about a 34% gain, and I imagine it's going to be a quick move. All right, so if we go over to DGB Tether, yeah, that'd be about right there, 0.072, 0.073 right in there. And this is even a better view. What is this, 4 hour? Look how that green dot right there, this one right there, look how it's just now about to go into the green. And all of this is turning up. All of this is going up. That's what you're looking for when using this tool. You want to go red to green. You want to catch it in the last part so you're not wasting a bunch of time down here. You don't want to be caught up in that. You want to find the big moves. And then if we go to the hour on DGB Tether, yeah, the hourly could turn back down a little bit, but you're on a shorter time frame. It really depends on if you're trying to swing or if you're trying to scalp, what your goal is. If you're more of a long-term trader, then you definitely want to do a swing trade. So the further you go down in time frame, the more of a day trader you become, and the further up you go, then the more of a long-term trader you are. So if I wanted to be a scalper on a intraday basis, then I'd be looking at something like a 12-minute or a 15-minute, maybe go as low as a 6-minute, 5-minute. And then anything from an hour up would be more like a swing trader or a much longer term trader. Like if you're looking at holding for months, then you'd want to go all the way up to like a daily. You do have to kind of figure out what you want to be, what your comfort level is. So I agree. By the way, that's kind of my stance on this. I'm not a financial advisor, not a financial advice. Don't do what I'm doing, but just to kind of give you an idea, this is a good entry. It's a good example of what you look for when using this indicator package, Market Cipher. Let's see if we can find another one here that's a good opportunity. I think XLM was looking good. Let's put them side by side, 4 hour, 1 hour. Yeah, actually it looks like it might not be in a good spot right now to be purchasing. This might be a good example for an exit though. Like if you were taking a smaller trade, shorter time frame trade, See how this red down here, this is the 4 hour. It's not a great example because the money flow didn't get very negative here. But just as an example, you can see that curve there and it's starting to come back up to the green. Well, that right there, here's your real anchor back here. You're looking for these big anchors that come way down where the price just flushes out on a longer time frame. This would have been a good entry right here because that's your trigger wave. One way he describes it, and let me see if I can draw this right. He describes it kind of like the trigger of a gun. So here's the handle of your gun, and then here's the trigger. So you can just imagine a gun like that, and this being your trigger right here. And he says when you see that, then it's time to start thinking about taking an entry. And that was a good one for sure. I mean, if you take one there, you got a pretty good spike up. And so you would look for the next one now. But you got to be careful because even though this one was okay, your money flow was starting to come back up like this. So really what you want to do is start looking for the money flow to be moving back towards the zero line as if it's going to go red to green. And that's why maybe somewhere in here, which there's not really a green dot there, but somewhere over here would have been better. Wait for your green dot there and then wait for another trigger wave if you want. And then from there we went up to green. But see, the reason why we were saying this might be a good time for a short-term trade as far as exiting is you got a red dot up here. And we can just think, okay, it is basically the opposite of what we're talking about for an entry. Now you're here at the top, you're looking for your red dots to exit out of your trade. I mean, it hasn't really gone all the way up here, but it just depends on how aggressive you are as a trader. If I was a day trader, I would see this and I'd say, okay, it's probably a good time to exit, wait for it to come down a little bit, and then we'll get back in or we'll put it somewhere else. And then if you look over here at the 1 hour, you're seeing kind of the same thing. You've got this downward trajectory. This is going down here on the money flow. Looks like it could be headed back to the red. So in a situation like this, I would just wait for it to play out. It's just not clear enough. But if you wanted to take your exit, that would probably be fine. And then you'd want to buy somewhere back over here. This is why support and resistance levels are so important. If you know that this is support right here, then there's a pretty good chance it's going to come back and touch it. And it almost did right here. I don't know if you can call that a touch or not. It may be close enough to call it one. So in this case, I might look at a different coin right now. If I was thinking about getting an XLM, I know it's going up long term. But as far as today or tomorrow, I don't know. It just needs a little bit more time. So let's look at an example of a coin that is in the red today, because that's usually what you want to look for, is a coin that had a decent drop, because you want to buy it at a discount if you can. Of course, this one's been going up quite a bit. Cody, let me look at something like RSR. It hasn't gone up much. Okay, so here we got a 4 hour on Cody. Oh, there's I'm sorry, I wasn't watching the chat. Sorry about that, Aegon. Yeah, I'll check RCN next. Okay, so what are we looking at? RSR. Yeah, we can see right here, this was definitely a good entry. And this is a really good example. Let's see, 4 hour. So this is a good example here. You don't always have to look down here for the green dot. It doesn't have to be in the bottom half. We're seeing how this is curling back, and this is about the 3/4 area, you know, kind of anywhere in here. So that green dot there on the bottom's good for an entry, or you could consider one that's even up here. I mean, we did come back down, so it's not the greatest entry. This would have been a better entry here. But even so, I mean, that you can see that even these green dots up here can be used because we stayed above and we were bullish. So in this case, if I was to miss this green dot, there's a good chance I would have just waited. But as soon as you see this crossover, that's a really good sign that it's going to continue as far as your long-term bullishness. So that's why this would have been a really good one to get in. You could have been patient and said, okay, I'm just going to wait for one more green dot and then I'll get in. And we can see that would have been a great entry because of the continuation. But here's your anchor wave way back here. Here's your trigger wave. The reason I don't get in on this one right here is because, well, the problem with that is it's easy to look at it in hindsight. But if you saw this right here and you saw a green dot and you noticed that this was starting to curl back up right here, I mean, there's a good chance you would have taken that trade. It's just a good solid trade because you thought, well, maybe I'm at the 3/4 point, but it turns out it was way back here. But it worked out fine. No big deal. If you got in right here, where are we at? Yeah, if you got in right there, sure, it dropped a little bit, but whatever. Went right back. It does give you good entries regardless. Okay, so someone in the chat asking for RCN. Let's look at that. Aegon, is this for the USD pair, or is there a specific pair? Yeah, USD, okay. Let's see. It gets really easy to use this the more you use it. I've been happy with it. But I also tend to go back to my roots as well, where I'll look at just the regular RSI and look at MACD, things like that. The cool thing about this is it's all built in, so you don't have to look at all those things if you don't want to. So let's see, we've got the 4 hour, we got the 1 hour. Let me just check the daily real quick. Yeah, it's solidly in the positive money flow, so it looks like it's going to keep going, especially on the long term. Oh yeah, this looks a lot like DGB actually. DGB may be behind this one. So now you're getting up into some resistance. Yeah, this is a good example for should you be looking for an exit if you're a short-term trader. I don't know what your situation is. If you're long-term, I would say yeah, definitely hold it because it's going up. Let's see. Yeah, this is a really good sign here. It's kind of hard to see these. Let me see if I can. I'm going to expand just this for a second. You can see this little green dot there. These are a lot harder to see once it gets near the zero line because you get different colors mixing in with it. And I'll bring that other back. Yeah, that's a great entry right there if you would have got that. How long have you been holding this one? When did you enter it? You may not have heard me. When did you get in RCN? Have you been holding it long term? Oh, okay. Oh yeah, that was a really good entry then. If you got in down here, 0.071. Yeah, I mean, your patience is definitely going to pay off here. We're seeing on the hourly, yeah, it kind of flushed out there and now it's coming back. I imagine what's going to happen on the hourly is we're going to see something like, I imagine this line here will come down to here and then it'll bounce back and your green's going to keep going up. This is, I mean, this is a really good setup here on the 4 hour. So I think you just have to be patient. This is kind of what I expect out of it. It's going to have this extended run like this right here. A lot of green money flow where it didn't fall down. It just kept pushing up. But that, I mean, that amount of time took, what, 20 days? I don't know if it'll take that long this time. But we are seeing how the alts are all kind of moving up to the starting gate. They're getting ready to go. We may have some kind of dip halfway through the month. I don't know yet, but it definitely looks like alts are ready to push up. And from a more macro perspective, you know, looking at your support lines, stuff like that, you've got some resistance, right? I don't know, it's somewhere right in there. Yeah, I guess you're kind of hitting it right now. So once it breaks through this, you're good. So you'll probably have to bounce against this for a little while. And the way you know that is, you saw the same exact thing right here. Let's see, this was resistance. Yeah, it had the same thing there. Trying to look further left to see if there was anything that held us back previously. Yeah. So all the way back here, you had a lot of resistance. Well, not a lot, but there was a decent amount, especially up in here. There was a bunch there, a bunch here. And so if we go back down to the 4 hour, we can see why all of this took a while to play out. What was that? Well, it wasn't too bad. What was it, 8 days, 10 days? So if all you have to deal with is right here, this shouldn't take long at all. You know, maybe a couple of days you might be out of this. It'll just bounce a couple times and go. Hopefully that's what happens. And I forgot to get that, let me see if I can get that affiliate link real quick, just in case anybody's interested in this. Okay, so that's the link for that, or the affiliate link for it anyway. And I'll put that in YouTube as well. Let's look at one more before we end here. Trying to think of one that a lot of people might want to see. I guess OMG might be one that's interesting to people. Yeah, OMG did the same thing. Here's that curl up. Typically you want your green dot to be at that 3/4 mark, you know, kind of 3/4 coming out of the red. You didn't really get one there. It was back up here at the top, but you want one down here if you can get it. So that would have been the entry right there that I would have taken. And that is a well, the quick move would have been about 15% over the course of maybe a day, which is great. It's really hard to catch those though. You're not always going to get them. Sometimes you'll take your entry and then it may go down a little bit, but the good news is that you mostly caught the bottom. It's really hard to catch bottoms. You just got to do the best you can and then be patient with it. And then over here on the hour, we're showing that just looks like more continuation for it. You know, we curled up hard off of this. And then it kind of did one of those and came back. But now you got another green dot right there. So on the hourly, we're probably going back up soon. And then if you mix in some support resistance lines, you'll kind of get a better idea of what's going on. We can see there's definitely something going on there because it held it back there too. And like I did before, what I would do there is I would just go back and find out what happened here on the left that would cause that to happen. Because if you just got one, let me widen this. Like, let's say for example, this right here was just one touch of resistance, then this should have broken through immediately. But we know that since it's holding it up a little bit, something must be going on here on the left. And that's what we see there. Way back here in, what is that? August 26, 2020. We got this resistance. Well, it was support, turned into resistance. And then it fell through. This line right here, it's basically right on that line. That's interesting. So for people holding on OMG, that's all you're waiting for. Once it breaks that resistance, we're going up pretty good. Wherever this would be. Maybe right here. So there's your next stop. It's going to be about $6. And then from there, I don't know. Somewhere in here. Yeah, but the good news is there's not much to worry about from here on out. Here's really what you want to see. You want to get out of all of this stuff, especially something like that. You know, you're very happy to be out from under this weight. There was so much resistance here. And now that happened, you've got a lot of clear sky up here. There's a big gap. You'll slow down some in this area, which is here, you know, here and here. But once you cross those areas, it'll really take off. I think we're real close to a big move. I know a lot of us see it. And anytime we start seeing this little stair-step pattern, it'll do like a 3 push, come down a little bit, and sometimes it'll just go parabolic. And I think a lot of the alts are about to do that, at least by the end of the month. So we just need to be patient, hold what you got. Does anybody else in the chat have a coin they want to look at? I can keep showing off this market cipher. We had some people in our group that were interested in it, so I wanted to do a video on it. And if there's anything not clear, you know, feel free to ask a question about that too. QKC. I'll do it as the dollar pair. I think some people only have access to the Bitcoin pair. And these smaller caps, you're going to get a lot of wicks on them like this. It's pretty typical. Yeah, I think I was looking at QKC earlier, and from a real basic TA standpoint, it looks great because let's see if I can, oh yeah, here it is right here. Let me widen this out. So here's what we call a Adam and Eve pattern. It'll come down like this, and then it'll do one of these. And then once it breaks this line of resistance, that's when it takes off. So it looks like that's what we're waiting on. It's going to complete this little thing. And somewhere in here is your resistance line. And let's just look back to the left and see what we see. I think this, oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, there's a little bit going on over here, so it may slow it down for a while. But as far as entries go, this is a great entry. You know, you're really at the bottom. You're not going to see anything better than this, I don't believe. You would just have to be patient with this one. It may not go right away. And the reason I say that is this. Let me see what it's sitting on. Yeah, there's resistance there. And right there. And a little bit further out, there's another one somewhere in there. So there's your gap that you're looking for, where you can get a good run up. If we zoom back in here. So we'll probably do something like this. We'll bounce, come up to here, bounce around a little while. And then you really have a parabolic move right there. You'll get a stair step of some sort. You know, it does a little 3-push thing, kind of like we saw in OMG a minute ago. So what is that? You've got a move of about 50%. I imagine a move like that won't take too long. I would say at least by, what is today? The 9th? 10 to 15 days you might see that move. But yeah, I'm a big fan of that coin. I don't have that coin. I'd like to buy some, but it looks real good. We'll look at what Craig's saying here. He's talking about Pundi. This is one that I'm in. I've been holding it for a long time. Okay, yeah, so daily looks great. We can see that there's plenty of green money flow here, and it's actually holding up pretty well. You have your typical laddering where it'll step up and then consolidate, step up, consolidate. And if we go to the 4 hour, oh, this is great here. Yeah, look at that. You were down here where it was real bearish for a while. But then you got your curl up, and we're just starting to get into the green money flow now. And right there, you might not be able to see it real well, but there's your green dot. It's actually above the line there. Sometimes you want your trigger wave to be down here, like we were talking about, but you've got one right here, and that's a good entry. This is where you would have entered right there. And then on the hourly, a shorter time frame, let's look at that. Yeah, this is a good example of if you were a scalper, that red dot right there would have been a good place to take some profits and wait for it to come back down and rebuy, or put your profits somewhere else. Definition of a scalper again, or even a swing trader might do this, which is somebody that just trades the coin for a day or two just to get a quick profit. But a good definition of that would be, say, for example, if you were intraday trading and you saw a good entry one morning, you entered, and then you wanted to try to find an exit that same day. Well, in that case, you'd probably want to go down to like a 6-minute chart or I don't know, 12-minute chart may work, but you definitely want to be down in your lower time frames to do trading like that. Most people want to be longer term traders because the chance for error is much less. What were we at, 1 hour? Yeah. It's been on a good run. There hasn't been much consolidation. I think we're ready to push up again. And as far as what I see here, I think it has a little bit more time to go before it's going to push up some more. But not long at all. There's something going, yeah, back here we've got a lot of resistance happening. So a lot of these coins, you can see where they're sitting at currently. It's pretty obvious that it's this that's holding it back. It's all of these wicks that had come down and touched that line right there. You could basically say, yeah, this line right here is the resistance point, because at one time it was support, and we've talked about the support resist flip. So at one time this was support, it was holding, broke under it. So now it becomes the resistance. You can see how it turned back up right there and started hitting that same line that was support before. Now it's resistance, and it pushed it down further. So now what we'll do is we're going to bounce on it, and then we'll take off. And that's a good sign right there. Whoops. This down here is a really good sign. You're getting a vertical price push up, a lot of volumes coming in. Volume's not that important to me. I don't really pay much attention to it. It's more about price action. But that is telling you that a lot of volume's coming in, and that's what you need if you're going to have a sustained push. Does that answer your question, Craig? Is that detailed enough? Yep, you're welcome. Okay, Syscoin. Oh yeah, it's no problem, Megan. I don't even know if I'm saying your name right, but yeah, I don't mind looking at them at all. It's good practice for me, and it shows you what this market cipher system is capable of. And you don't have to have it. I mean, I've done without it for a long time, just using regular indicators, RSI, MACD. We were talking about that in the last video. Just basic indicators that are good enough. You don't have to pay a bunch of money for. But if you did want to spend some more money for something that was going to give you a lot more confidence, then this is, I feel, one of the better ones you can get. So Syscoin 4 hour, yeah, that's a real good sign there. It came down. Well, let's look at this. Let me talk about this real quick. So this red dot right here at the top is something we talked about with a few coins just a minute ago. If you were day trading, day trading or scalping. And so this would be one of the ones that you'd want to probably sell at, because not only is this a RSI indicator, it's also including a bunch of other indicators within it. And you were seeing that right here, you were going down on the money flow. So there's a lot of indications there. You know, all of these lines are starting to go down right here. This is going down. You've got a cross right there going down. This would have been a safe play to, sell 50%, whatever you want to do, but it allows you to stack more coins if you want to wait for it to come back down a little bit. But you have to make sure, don't just take the trade because it's a red dot. You really need to be sure by looking at multiple indicators. And you can see it did come down a little bit. For a long-term trader, this is nothing. If you're holding things for longer than a couple of weeks, I would say just, hold through that. It's nothing at all. What did it take? 2 days? No big deal. And then right here you got this this green dot showing us we're going back up. So it's just working on some resistance, the same thing we've been looking at with some other ones. And here's a good sign right here. This is a nice upward angle on the 1 hour. So I would expect that to continue trending in that direction. It may be breaking through its resistance right now. Okay, so Aegon's asking Syscoin versus XRP, and then I'll look at MTV here in just a second, Craig. Does Syscoin have? Maybe there is one like that. Sometimes TradingView doesn't show that. And by the way, you can only use this this market cipher system. You can only use it within TradingView. It's not usable in things like CoinTrader Pro or some other system. Yeah, I don't see. Doesn't look like I can pair it with XRP on here, unless you're talking about just put XRP in the window to the right. I can do that. Let me see here, tether. So we'll compare hour to hour. Oh, I got you. Which one has more room? Yeah, we can look at that. May want to go to 4 hour. It's a little bit harder to see when you're close up. I would say that Syscoin is most likely due to move first as far as a big move. I mean, I don't have any doubt that XRP is moving up. It's pretty obvious that it is. What I'm looking at is this. Syscoin already worked through all this, whereas XRP is still working through it. And I don't know, I mean, we really know how XRP works. It just bursts all of a sudden. So it could just take off at any minute. But if we're considering that these might be in roughly the same position, then really you've got your Adam and Eve move right here already, and you're just waiting on that resistance to be broken. Whereas this one, it looks like it still has some room. You need to get up here so you can work through that resistance line. And then if we take it a step further and look at what market cipher is telling us, then that would be a good idea. So we'll look down here. These are both on the 4 hourly. Yeah, I mean, you got a green dot here, so that's a good sign. But you got your red right here, meaning we're probably going to come down at least a little bit on XRP currently. We'll look at 1 hour. Have to go down at least one step just to see what's going on a closer zoom. And it's really tough on the 1 hour because you're seeing right here that you've got good money flow here on this one, but it's not so great here, though we may just bounce off of this and keep going up because you do have a upward angle. So I mean, I would put it on Syscoin right now as far as the more immediate, bigger move. And really what Syscoin needs to do is break through this line, and I think it will. There's a line right there. But both look good. I mean, here's another thing for XRP. You're getting this steady move up, so that's a very positive sign. I like both of them. And then as far as more room, I would tend to lean towards Syscoin just because Let me see here. Just because of this right here, there's not much resistance there, it doesn't seem like. Look at the daily on this one. Yeah, I'd lean towards Syscoin a little bit more. It's close though, it's really not that far at all. So let's look at MTV real quick. That's a new one. I haven't looked at that one before. Yeah, that looks real good on the daily. There's your trigger. I think we'll see a move up to, well, your first move will be 07. And then up to 08. Yeah, good point. It is a cheap coin. I mean, this is, some of these I look at and I think back to penny stocks and things like that that were, back in the day, they were kind of a pump and dump thing. But the cool thing about these types of coins now is that the Fed is pumping so much money into the system that coins like this, I mean, it's not really a pump and dump necessarily. Some of these companies may not last, but I think it is good to take advantage of them while the Fed is pumping so much money into things. I mean, we see it in the stock market, we see it in crypto market, everything. And there's another trigger wave there. And this is a good sign here. This is going back up above this line here. This is the bullish area. So especially when you see a red dot up here, getting close to that top line, you can see what happened back here when the same thing took place. It came down pretty good. And that was, let's see, 6th of June to 9th of July. And this is on a daily chart, so anytime you see these red dots on Market Cipher up near the top, these are pretty solid. I mean, you want to pay attention to them and think about getting out before it drops too far. You can always buy back when you get a green dot down here. They don't matter as much on things like an hourly because we know that there's a flow to everything. Like you got the minute chart, it'll go up and down a lot. And then you got the hourly chart, same thing. It'll fluctuate throughout the day. So start with your daily chart, kind of get the overall feel for where things are going. You'd kind of do that like this. You look at your curve. So you're expecting this to continue up that way just because of the natural flow of things, but it'll take a while. I mean, we may be looking at the end of March before we hit our next peak. So we just got to be patient with things. Well, I think that'll do it, guys. I appreciate y'all joining me. Hit the follow button down there if you haven't yet on Twitch, and subscribe and hit the notification bell and the like button and all that on YouTube once I upload the video. It helps me out a lot, and I want y'all to be able to get as much out of this as you can. So if I post a video, you'll know that it's up. And I'll also post the Market Cipher link on the YouTube video. That way y'all can check it out. I know some of y'all were interested in it. But I appreciate y'all joining me. We'll see you next time.